The workshop door stood open when I came home. Not propped open the way I left it when I took breaks, but hanging loose on its hinges, the lock mechanism dangling by one screw. Inside, the pegboard wall showed perfect outlines where my tools had hung for 30 years, clean shadows on dusty wood. The workbench sat empty except for a fine layer of sawdust that nobody had bothered to wipe away. My hands went cold despite the August heat. I stood in the doorway and looked at those shadows. My father's socket set, the German chisels I'd saved for over 2 years to buy, the router I'd rebuilt by hand. All of it gone. The workshop smelled wrong, too. No oil, no metal, just stale air and absence. I noticed a crumpled receipt on the floor near the bench. It had a shoe print across it. Someone had been in a hurry. I was 62 years old. I had built furniture for 4 decades, raised 2 children, buried a wife, and never once raised my voice to another human being without cause. I picked up that receipt and smoothed it flat against my palm. It was from an online marketplace. Pickup confirmation. My son's email address at the top. I folded it once and put it in my shirt pocket. Then I walked back to the house and made coffee, because some things require clarity, and clarity requires patience. The coffee maker gurgled in the kitchen while I sat at the table. My daughter had left a note under a magnet on the refrigerator. "Dad, went to the coast for the weekend. Make yourself at home. There's lasagna in the freezer." The handwriting was hurried, slanted. I looked at the date. She'd written it the day after I left for my brother's place in Nevada. He'd had a health scare, needed someone with him for the surgery and the first week of recovery. I'd told my children I'd be gone for 10 days. I'd been gone for 9. I drank the coffee slowly. Through the window I could see my daughter's car in the driveway. Not her car, really, her husband's car. A luxury sedan with leather seats and a sound system that cost more than my first truck. They'd bought it 6 months ago, right after his promotion. It sat there gleaming in the morning sun, waxed and perfect. My son lived 20 minutes away in a new development where all the houses looked similar. He had 2 children, both under 10. I saw them on holidays and birthdays. He worked in finance, wore expensive suits, talked about markets and portfolios at dinner. His wife was polite but distant. They had a pool. They had complained, more than once, about the cost of pool maintenance. I finished my coffee and washed the cup. Then I went back to the workshop and began taking inventory. I'd kept records. I'd built cabinets for a living. I knew how to document things. I had photographs of every major tool, receipts going back decades, serial numbers written in a ledger that I kept in the house. It took me 2 hours to make a complete list. The empty spaces told me everything I needed to know. They'd taken it all. Every bit that had value. They'd left the handsaw with the broken handle. They'd left a coffee can full of bent nails. The computer in my small office still worked. I'd taught myself to use it after my wife died, mostly to keep in touch with old clients and look up woodworking techniques. I was slow but methodical. I found the online marketplace easily enough. I created an account. Then I started searching. It didn't take long. My tools were scattered across a dozen listings, all posted 8 days ago. The profile belonged to my son. He'd used his real name. The prices were reasonable, maybe even cheap. He'd sold my table saw for $300. I'd paid $1,200 for it, used it almost every day for 15 years. The mortising machine went for $75, the thickness planer for $200. I added up the totals, just over $4,000 minus the platform's fees. I sat back in my chair and looked at the screen. My hands were steady. I wasn't angry, not in the way most people understand anger. I was something colder and more focused. My children had come into my workshop, taken my life's work, and sold it while I was caring for my dying brother. They'd done it casually, probably over a weekend, probably laughing about how much space they'd cleared. They hadn't called. They hadn't asked. I closed the laptop and went for a walk. The neighborhood was quiet at midday. Retired people watering lawns, a few young mothers pushing strollers. I'd lived here for 38 years. I knew every crack in the sidewalk. My wife and I had bought the house when property was still affordable, back when a craftsman could own a home and a workshop and send 2 kids to decent schools. We'd worked for it. We'd sacrificed for it. We'd taught our children the value of labor and care. Or I'd thought we had. I walked past my daughter's house. She lived 4 blocks away. They'd bought it 3 years ago, stretching their budget, filling it with furniture that looked expensive but felt hollow when you touched it. Particle board with veneer. Joints held by staples instead of joinery. Her husband liked to talk about investments and property values. He'd never built anything with his hands. When I got home, there was a car in my driveway. My son's truck. He was sitting on my porch, looking at his phone. He looked up when I approached, smiled. It was the smile he used with clients. "Hey, Dad, heard you were back." I climbed the porch steps. "I am." "How's Uncle Jim?" "Recovering." He nodded, slipped his phone into his pocket. "That's good. That's really good. Listen, I wanted to talk to you about something." I unlocked the front door and held it open. He followed me inside. I offered him nothing. No coffee, no seat. I stood in my own kitchen and waited. "So, he shifted his weight. "We did something while you were gone. Rachel and I. We thought we were helping." "The workshop." His face changed, just slightly, a tightness around the eyes. "You saw." Saw." "Dad, listen. You haven't used those tools in months. You said yourself you were slowing down. We thought, maybe it was time to let go of some stuff. Declutter. The money's in your account. Well, most of it. The platform takes fees." I looked at him. Really looked at him. He was 34 years old. He had my jaw, his mother's eyes. He was wearing a polo shirt that probably cost more than my table saw had sold for. "You broke into my workshop." "We didn't break in. Rachel had a key. You gave her a key years ago, remember? For emergencies." "Was this an emergency?" He sighed. The sound a patient adult makes with a confused child. "Dad, we were trying to help. You're not getting any younger. That stuff was just sitting there collecting dust. Someone else can use it. We got decent prices. And honestly, you could use the money. When's the last time you updated anything in this house?" I could have told him that I'd used those tools 3 months ago to build a dresser for my neighbor's daughter. I could have told him that I'd planned to teach his children basic woodworking this winter, the way my father taught me. I could have told him about the piece I'd been designing in my head for weeks, a jewelry box for his sister's birthday, cherry wood with dovetail joints and a hidden compartment. Instead, I said, "Get out of my house." He blinked. "What?" "You heard me." "Dad, come on. Don't be like this. We can talk about it." "We just did. Get out." He left. I heard his truck start, heard the engine fade down the street. Then I sat at my kitchen table and opened my laptop again. I searched for car valuations. Luxury sedans, 3 years old, low mileage. The numbers were substantial. More than my tools had brought in. Much more. I spent the evening making calls. I knew people. 40 years in a craft community means you know people. A man who restored classic cars. A woman who ran an estate sale business. A lawyer who'd hired me to build shelves for his office. By the time the sun set, I had a plan. It wasn't complicated. It didn't need to be. My daughter called the next morning. I let it go to voicemail. She called again that afternoon. I was in the garage, organizing what little remained of my tools. The handsaw with the broken handle, a few screwdrivers, a tape measure I'd carried since 1987. I listened to her message while I worked. "Dad, Brandon told me what happened. I'm so sorry. We really thought we were helping. Please call me back. We can figure this out." I deleted the message and kept working. That night, I slept well. Better than I had in weeks. I woke at 5, made coffee, watched the sunrise through my kitchen window. At 7, I called the car restoration specialist. His name was Mike. We'd known each other for 20 years. He collected luxury vehicles, restored them, resold them to private buyers. He was discreet. He was fair. "I need a favor," I said. "Name it." "I need you to buy a car, today, if possible. Private, sale, clean title, fair market value." "Whose car?" "Does it matter?" There was a pause. Then, "I suppose it doesn't. Send me the details." I gave him the make, model, year. I gave him my daughter's address. I told him to come at noon, when I knew they'd both be at work. I told him I'd have the keys and the title. He asked no questions. Good people know when not to ask questions. The title was in a filing cabinet in my daughter's home office. I knew because I'd helped her organize that office 2 years ago, built the shelves myself, showed her how to set up a system for important documents. I had a key to her house, too, for emergencies. I let myself in through the back door, found the title in the drawer marked Auto, made sure everything was in order. The car was in her husband's name. The payment had been made. The registration was current. I put the title in my jacket pocket and locked the door behind me. Mike arrived at noon in a flatbed truck. He was a big man, quiet, with mechanic's hands. He looked at the car, walked around it once, nodded. "Clean vehicle. You weren't kidding." "I don't kid about vehicles." He smiled at that. "Fair enough. You want cash or check?" "Check. Made out to the college fund for my grandchildren." His smile faded. He looked at me carefully. "This is going to blow back on you, you know." "I know." "You sure about this?" "I'm sure." He wrote the check. The amount was generous, more than fair. I looked at the numbers and thought about my table saw, my chisels, my father's socket set. I thought about the hours I'd spent in that workshop, teaching myself precision, patience, care. I thought about my children, standing in that space, seeing only clutter and dollar signs. Mike loaded the car onto the flatbed. It took him 15 minutes. He was efficient, professional. When he was done, he handed me a business card. "If you need anything else, you call me." "I will." He drove away. The street was empty again. I walked home and made lunch. Turkey sandwich, glass of water. I ate slowly, looking out at my backyard. There was work to do out there. The fence needed mending. The garden beds needed turning over. Small tasks, but honest ones. My daughter called at 3:30. I answered this time. "Dad." Her voice was high, strained. "Where's the car?" "Which car?" "You know which car. Brandon's car. It's gone. Someone stole it." "Did they?" "Dad, I'm serious. We came home and it's gone. The police are here. They're asking questions. Did you see anything? Were you home today?" I saw a flatbed truck around noon. I assumed someone was moving. "A flatbed? Dad, why didn't you call us?" "Didn't seem like my business." There was a long silence. Then, "What did you do?" "I made lunch." "Dad, you should check your son's college fund. The one you set up last year but never contributed to. There's been a deposit." The silence stretched longer this time. I could hear her breathing, sharp and shallow. "You sold our car." "I sold a car that was registered to someone living at that address. I had the title. The sale was legal. I got fair market value." You can't just, Dad. That's theft." "Is it?" "Funny. I thought that when someone takes your property without asking and sells it, that's theft. When you do it with proper documentation and fair payment, that's a transaction." Her voice dropped. "This is about the tools." This is about respect. We were trying to help. Were you? Or were you trying to make yourselves feel better about not visiting, not calling, not giving a damn about what matters to me? I heard her crying. Soft sounds, barely audible. Part of me wanted to comfort her. The larger part remembered those empty shadows on my pegboard wall. "The money's in the college fund," I said. $17,000. That's what the car was worth. It's more than you got for my tools. It'll pay for a good chunk of education. Maybe it'll teach your children something about value. Dad, please. You had a key for emergencies. So did I. We both used them. The difference is, I left you something better than what I took. I hung up. My son showed up at 6. He didn't knock. He tried his key, but I'd changed the locks that afternoon. I'd learned locksmithing years ago, back when I was trying to understand how things fit together. He pounded on the door. I let him pound. Eventually, he stopped. "Dad, open the door." I opened it. He was red-faced, furious. "You sold my sister's car." "I sold a car. The money's in your children's education fund." "That's not the point." "What is the point?" You can't do things like that. It's crazy. It's vindictive." "Is it more vindictive than selling a man's workshop while he's caring for his dying brother?" His mouth opened. Closed. "That's not the same." "Why not?" Because you're old, Dad. You don't need that stuff anymore. We need the car. We have jobs. We have responsibilities." I looked at him. My son. My boy. The child I'd rocked to sleep, taught to ride a bicycle, helped through algebra homework. The young man I'd sent to college, watched graduate, celebrated at his wedding. "You're right," I said. "You have responsibilities. You have children. They need to learn that every action has a consequence. They need to learn that taking something without permission has a cost. They need to learn that their grandfather's work had value, even if their father couldn't see it." This is insane. This is clarity. "We'll sue you." "For what?" "I had the title. I made a legal sale. I put the money in your children's fund. No judge would touch this, and you know it." He pointed at me. His hand was shaking. "You're alone now. You know that? You're going to die alone." "Maybe. But I'll die with my self-respect intact. I wonder if you can say the same." He left without another word. I closed the door, locked it, made dinner. Spaghetti with sauce from a jar. I ate it slowly, washed my dishes, went to bed at 9. The next week was quiet. No calls, no visits. I kept to my routine. Morning coffee, walks around the neighborhood. I started rebuilding my tool collection, piece by piece. Used equipment mostly. I didn't need the newest models. I needed tools that worked. I bought them carefully, tested them, brought them home. The pegboard wall started filling in again. Mike called after 10 days. "Thought you should know. Sold that vehicle. Got a good price. Buyer was happy. Clean transaction." "Good. You doing okay?" "I'm doing fine." "Your family still angry?" "Probably. Give it time. People come around." "Maybe they do. Maybe they don't." He was quiet for a moment. "For what it's worth, I think you did the right thing. People need to learn. Sometimes the hard way's the only way." "Sometimes?" We said goodbye. I went back to my workshop. I'd started a new project, a small bookshelf. Simple joinery, no fancy details, just solid work, the kind that lasts. A month passed, then another. Fall came early that year. The leaves turned gold and red. I raked them, bagged them, put them out for collection. My neighbor, Mrs. Chen, brought me soup. She was 75, lived alone, understood silence and solitude. "Your family?" she asked. "Busy." She nodded. "Family is complicated." "It is. But you're okay." "I'm okay." She patted my hand and left. I ate the soup. It was good. In October, my grandson called. He was 8 years old. His voice was small on the phone. Grandpa? Hey, buddy. Mom says you're mad at us. I closed my eyes. I'm not mad at you. Can I still visit? Anytime you want. Dad says we shouldn't. He says you did something bad. What do you think? He was quiet. Then, I don't know. I miss you. I miss you too. Can you teach me woodworking, like you promised? Absolutely. When? Whenever your parents say it's okay. He hesitated. What if they don't say it's okay? Then you call me when you're old enough to make your own decisions, and I'll teach you then. That's a long time. Some things are worth waiting for. We talked for a few more minutes. Small things. School, soccer, a book he was reading. When we hung up, I sat in my chair and looked at the workshop through the window. The lights were off, but I could see the shapes of my tools hanging on the pegboard. Not all of them. Not yet, but enough. Enough to start again. My daughter came by in November. I was in the front yard, trimming hedges. She pulled up in a different car, something modest and practical. She got out slowly, stood by the curb. Dad. I set down the shears. Rachel. Can we talk? I nodded toward the porch. We sat in the chairs my wife had picked out 20 years ago. Wooden rockers, still solid. She looked older. Tired. I'm sorry, she said. Okay. No, I mean it. I'm really sorry. We were wrong. Brandon and I, we thought we were helping, but we weren't thinking about what those tools meant to you. We just saw stuff taking up space. And now? Now I see that we didn't just take tools. We took your work, your history, the things you built with your hands. She looked at me. Her eyes were wet. I remember watching you in the workshop when I was little. You'd let me hand you tools. You'd show me how wood fit together. You were patient. You were kind. And we repaid that by just getting rid of it all. Yes. The car thing. I get it now. It took me a while, but I get it. Do you? You wanted us to understand what it felt like. To have something important taken away. Did it work? She smiled, sad and small. Yeah, it worked. We sat in silence for a while. A breeze moved through the trees. Somewhere down the street, children were playing. The money you put in the college fund, she said. That was more than we got for your tools. It was what the car was worth. But you could have kept it. Could have used it to buy back some of your equipment. I could have. Why didn't you? I looked at her. My daughter. My girl. Because this wasn't about money. It was about teaching a lesson. And lessons stick better when there's something good at the end of them. Your kids will go to college on that money. They'll have opportunities. Maybe they'll remember why they had those opportunities. Maybe they'll learn to think before they take things that don't belong to them. She was crying now. Really crying. I'm so sorry, Dad. I know. Can we fix this? I don't know. Can you? She nodded, wiping her eyes. I want to try. Brandon wants to try. We talked about it. A lot. We know we were wrong. We know we hurt you. Then start by respecting boundaries. Start by asking before you assume. Start by remembering that I'm still here, still capable, still building things that matter. Okay? And don't ever go into my workshop again without permission. Never. I promise. We talked for another hour. Small steps toward something like reconciliation. When she left, she hugged me. It felt tentative, fragile. But it was something. My son took longer. He didn't come around until Christmas. The whole family was at my daughter's house. I'd been invited, hesitated, finally accepted. When I arrived, my son was in the kitchen, helping with food. He saw me, nodded. I nodded back. Later, after dinner, he found me on the back porch. Dad. Brandon. He sat down. We looked at the yard. It was dark, cold. I owe you an apology. Yes. I was an asshole. I didn't think about what we were doing. I saw value in dollars, not in what you'd built. And now? Now I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to teach my kids to ask before they take, to respect other people's work, to understand that not everything is about money. Good. I know you were teaching us a lesson. With the car. It took me a while to see it. Most lessons take a while. He laughed. Short, bitter. Yeah, God, yeah, they do. We sat in silence. Then he said, "The kids ask about you. They want to visit. They're welcome anytime. Even after everything? They didn't sell my tools. You did." He flinched. Fair. Bring them by next weekend. I'll show them how to use a handsaw. His face changed. Something like relief. Really? Really. Thank you, Dad. I didn't answer. Some things don't need answers. The workshop is different now. I've rebuilt most of what I lost. Some tools I bought new, some I found used, some I borrowed and never gave back because the lenders insisted I keep them. Word got around in the woodworking community. People understood. People helped. I'm working on a project now. A chest for my grandson. Solid oak, dovetail joints, a brass latch. He'll get it when he's old enough to appreciate it. When he understands that some things aren't just objects, they're history, their care, their love made tangible through hours of patient work. My children visit more often now, not as much as they should, but more than they did. They ask before they touch things. They listen when I explain how joints fit together, how grain direction matters, how patience produces better results than speed. They're learning. Slowly, but they're learning. The car is gone. The tools are mostly replaced. The money sits in a college fund, growing slowly, waiting for my grandchildren to need it. And I'm here, in my workshop, doing what I've always done. Building things. Making things that last. Teaching through example and consequence. Because that's what fathers do. We teach. Sometimes with words, sometimes with actions, sometimes with hard lessons that hurt in the moment but shape character over time. They sold my tools while I was away. I sold their car while they slept. We're even now, better than even. We understand each other. And understanding, hard-won and painful as it is, beats silence every time. I pick up my handsaw, the one with the new handle I carved and fitted myself, and return to work. The wood smells clean. The blade cuts true. Outside, the evening light fades to gold. There's beauty in this, in the work, in the lesson, in the slow, difficult process of teaching people you love that respect isn't given. It's earned. And once lost, it's rebuilt the same way I rebuild my workshop. One careful piece at a time.